Hi my precious moons. I know it's been a while. I've had a lot going on with school and work. More tragically, I hit a writer's block. This story came to me out of nowhere, so I decided to go with it. Love you lots. Hope you enjoy. It's so pretty this time of year. Yeah. Oikawa and Iwaizumi were walking through the streets of Miyagi just to spend time together. Their hands were interlocked and swinging between them. I can't wait for the cherry blossoms to get to full bloom. That's my favorite time of the year. Iwa? What is it? Cherry blossoms bloom in March. I know that's silly. Oikawa laughed and tried to pull him along, but Iwaizumi wouldn't budge. You're not going to be here in March. Oikawa froze, his good mood vanishing immediately. Right, I forgot. Well, stop forgetting because it hurts every time. He turned around to face Iwaizumi, his eyes wide. I'm sorry, Iwa. It won't happen again. Iwaizumi nodded and lowered his head. Their hands were still linked together, so he squeezed Oikawa's softly. Oikawa tilted his head, wondering why his heart was in his stomach with dread when he stared at his boyfriend. Iwa? Koa. Iwaizumi lifted his head to look at him. Oikawa's eyes widened at the sight of his tear-filled eyes. We should break up. Oikawa felt like all the air had been sucked out of his lungs. The words he never thought he'd hear were now reality. Wow, what? You're moving to Argentina and I have no intention of following you. My career is here. My friends. My family. Everything I know. I'm so proud of you for chasing your dreams. But our dreams aren't the same. Oikawa could do nothing but stare at him. He had so many things he wanted to say but couldn't manage to open his mouth. Iwaizumi was crying now, though he was still composed enough to continue. I love you. But it isn't going to work. He brought Oikawa's hand up to his lips and kissed it softly before letting it drop. He stepped away and stayed silent, waiting for Oikawa to respond. You just broke up with me? Now? Suddenly, he felt tears fall down his cheeks, but he didn't bother wiping them. I'm sorry, Koa. Are you kidding me? He laughed a little, obviously still in shock. Tell me you're kidding, Iwa. I can't do that. Oikawa was silent for a moment longer before his expression changed into something cold. Were you going to do this the whole time? Iwaizumi's eyes widened as he froze. Well, what? I've been talking about leaving the country for a while now. When did you make the decision to break up with me, Iwa? I didn't. Was it before I told you I wanted to marry you? Or after? How about when I asked you to wait for me? Or when I said I'd come back to you? When was it? Iwaizumi reached forward and wrapped his arms around Oikawa's neck, pulling him in close. Please, you have to understand how hard this is for me. How hard this is for you. Oikawa pushed him away, his tears smearing his face but his scowl hardening. I need you. I've always needed you ever since we were kids. And now you're just abandoning me when it gets hard? That's not what I'm doing. I'm being sensible. This would never work. You wouldn't know unless you try. If you truly loved me like you say you do, then you would at least try. They stared at each other in silence, both of them breathing heavily and desperate. Finally, Iwaizumi stepped back further and ducked his head. I'm sorry, Koa, I can't. Oikawa felt his heart break into millions of pieces. He stood there in disbelief as his world crumbled, staring at his boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, with the most pained expression Iwaizumi had ever seen him wear. All right. I guess this is goodbye then. Iwaizumi's eyes widened and reached out to grab Oikawa's sleeve. Wait, what? I don't want to leave your life, Shitakoa. I just Don't want to be my boyfriend? So you want to stay in my life and torture me with that? I just thought I could still take you to the airport and stuff. Yeah, no thanks Iwa. You've already broken my heart enough. Oikawa ripped himself away from Iwaizumi and bolted back down the street. Iwaizumi watched him go, wishing he could follow him but thinking it was better if he didn't. He didn't even get to say goodbye, but he figured Oikawa would change his mind soon and they'd become friends again. That's how it always goes. Another. Oikawa slid his glass towards the bartender who caught it and filled it up before sliding it back. After he left Iwaizumi, he didn't feel like going home. Seeing all his packed belongings would have depressed him even further, so he opted for a local bar. Never seen you here before. Oikawa turned to see a girl sitting a few stools down. He shrugged and gulped down his drink. Guess not. Drowning sorrows? How'd you know? It's 3 p.m. The only people in here are disgusting drunks and people wanting to forget. You don't seem like the first type. I could be. I doubt it. Oikawa glanced over at her again and furrowed his brow. She was pretty, he noticed, but not that much like other girls, though he couldn't put his finger on it. What's your name? Oikawa. Toru Oikawa. She smiled and moved down a few stools to sit next to him. Nice to meet you, Toru Oikawa. I'm Hana Nakamura. Pretty name. Thanks. Nakamura lifted her hand towards the bartender. 2 more drinks for us please. Oikawa cocked a brow but didn't say anything. He wasn't really in the mood to entertain anyways. The drinks came and Nakamura nursed her slowly. Oikawa, not wanting to look like a disgusting drunk, did the same. So Oikawa, what's got you so down? Why would I tell you? Why not? It's not like you'll ever see me after today. Oikawa considered it and finally relaxed. You're right. So what is it? College? Family drama? You're dying? Oh, I got it. Girlfriend trouble? Oikawa snorted and sipped his drink. Close. Boyfriend trouble. Oh. Well, what'd he do? Oikawa glanced at her, a little surprised, but answered her question nonetheless. Broke up with me. Yikes. What'd you do? Hey, I didn't do anything wrong, thank you very much. Hahaha, okay. Whatever you say. HMPF. He broke up with me because I'm moving to Argentina in like 2 days. Argentina, huh? That's on the other side of the world. Yeah, I know. So he broke up with you because he didn't think it was possible? Oikawa nodded sadly and nursed his drink some more. I can see where he's coming from, I wish he'd talked to me about it before going ahead and doing it. Now whenever I think about him I'm just going to be angry and sad. And I can't even look at him. Nakamura reached over and placed her hand atop of his. Oikawa looked up at her, somehow feeling comforted. I think you should go. Huh? By the way you sound, it almost seems like you're rethinking going to Argentina. Oh. You're obviously going for a good reason or you wouldn't be leaving him behind, right? Yeah. Then go. He wants you to go too, it seems. Go and don't look back. Ever. Oikawa stared at her for a moment longer, prompting her to continue. He's giving you a chance, so you should take it. And she was cut off by Oikawa crashing his lips into hers. She was surprised but kissed back eagerly. He didn't know what he was doing. All he knew was that it felt good to feel something. He pulled away and stared at her. She stared back. I don't love you. I know. I'm leaving soon. I know. I'm going to go and never look back. Good. Oikawa flickered his eyes between hers and her lips. She smirked. I told you you'd never see me again after today. Your place? Let's go. Nakamura stood up and grabbed Oikawa's hand. Oikawa froze for a moment, immediately thinking of someone who definitely wouldn't like what he's doing. Hey. He snapped out of his thoughts and looked at Nakamura, taking in the realness of her expression. If you don't wanna, that's fine. Just thought you should have one sweet goodbye from Japan. Oikawa studied her a moment longer. She was really pretty, and if he squinted his eyes just so, she kinda sorta resembled Iwa. None of that mattered really. He was tipsy and horny and all things a guy is after a couple drinks. Add in the crippling heartbreak and really there was no other option in his mind. I would love a sweet goodbye from you. Nakamura flushed and pulled him out the door. Wake up, dumbass bitch. Get your shit together before you sleep the day away. You got shit to do. Wake up. Oikawa sprung out of bed, his heart racing at whatever the hell just screamed in his ear. He glanced around the room, a little disoriented, until he remembered the night before. Oh shit. Nakamura was still sleeping, tangled up in sheets. Oikawa remembered the night they had together and blushed madly. He looked beside the bed to see an alarm clock blaring the words that had been screamed at him just moments ago. Are you fucking kidding me? Nakamura stirred and slowly opened her eyes. Huh? This is your alarm? Every day? Oh. She sat up and rubbed her eyes. She had terrible bedhead and looked kind of out of it. Oikawa thought it was cute. Yeah, I'm a heavy sleeper so I have to go all out. You must be insane. The worst. Oikawa giggled and she did too. It wasn't awkward like he thought it'd be. It was almost like they were friends. What time is it anyway? Like 7:40. What? Nakamura sprung out of bed and started slinging clothes around trying to find hers. What is it? I have to be at work at 8. Oh, well you've still got some time. It's a 15-minute walk. Oh, shit. Oikawa quickly joined her, trying to find his own clothes, and soon enough they were running out the door together. Okay, I should make it. She was just about to start walking when she looked up at Oikawa. She smiled softly. Take care, Toru. I hope to see you doing great things in Argentina. Oikawa flushed a bit as he smiled. You will. Nakamura giggled a little and started walking off. You'll always have a supporter here in Japan. See you in another life. She smiled once more before continuing down the path. Oikawa watched her receding figure until she was out of view and out of his life. It almost felt like he was saying goodbye to his life in Japan at that very moment. It was sort of freeing. 6 years later. Yeah, I'm here. I'm at the baggage claim. Oikawa stood on his tiptoes to try and find his old friend. He still couldn't spot his pink hair so he put the phone back up to his ear. Are you sure you're not just fucking with me? Oikawa turned around. Oikawa spun around and was greeted with the sight of Maki's always pleasant face. Maki-chan. Geez, it's been 6 years. Can you drop the nickname? I haven't used Japanese in far too long. I need to refresh. Maki rolled his eyes but smiled anyways. He leapt forward and engulfed Oikawa in a hug. Oikawa hugged him back eagerly. It's been too long. I know. Didn't even visit once. Sorry, Maki-chan. Maki pulled away and started walking out of the airport. Oikawa picked up his bags and followed him. Now you're here for what? A court summons. Shit. What'd you do? Nothing. Though it is a little suspicious. Maki hummed and led them to his car. They got in and started the journey back to Miyagi. After a while of sitting in silence, Maki started talking. So, how long are you here for? Dunno. Don't you have like a strict schedule and all that? Yeah. I'm sort of in the middle of making career decisions, so I have some time off. Career decisions? MHM. How's Matson? Maki shot Oikawa a tiny glare for changing the subject, but he went with it anyway. He's aight. Told me to tell you he's glad he didn't have to come. Sounds like Matson. What about you? What do you mean? Do you have someone now? I hardly know anything about your life. Oh, no, I don't. Not since. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that really sucked. Tell me about it. Just saying, what he did was really shitty and we fought him over it after you left. He realized he made a mistake. I don't know if you knew that, because once he realized, you had already blocked him on everything. Oikawa tensed and kept his gaze on the road ahead. He definitely didn't need this right now. Hey Maki? Yeah? Do you wanna know why I never wanted to come home? No? This. Sorry. I don't want to hear about him and I don't want to see him. I didn't come home for him. Right. Does he know I'm in Japan? Maki? Yes. Goddamn. But he's waiting on you to come to him. So, you won't have to worry about it. Good. Don't tell him anything else. He doesn't need to know. Right. They fell into an awkward silence. Oikawa could feel the guilt wafting off Maki, and slowly he felt his walls fall with the familiarity of their old friendship. He sighed and relaxed. I loved him. But not anymore, and I'd rather not be reminded of it. Sorry I got all emotional about it. Maki visibly relaxed too, releasing the last of the tension. I understand, Core, no worries. Oikawa smiled lightly and the two of them spent the rest of the drive filling each other in on the last 6 years of their lives and joking around with each other like old times. Oikawa realized he missed this more than he thought. The next day, Oikawa had to answer the court summons that had prompted his return in the first place. He was nervous walking into the lawyer's office. He had no idea what he was being summoned for. Toru Oikawa? That's me. Follow me. Oikawa followed him into a private office. He sat down in a chair across from the lawyer's desk. My name is Sano. I'll be taking this case. Oh cool. If you wouldn't mind me asking, what exactly is this case? Sano cocked a brow and opened up the file on his desk. You weren't already informed? No, sir. All I received was a summons. It says here further contact was incomplete. Meaning they couldn't reach you. Oh, well that's likely. I've only just got back from Argentina. I'm just visiting. You live in Argentina? I play on the national volleyball team there. None of this is in the file. Well, I'm pretty famous, you could have googled my name. Sano snorted and returned to flipping through his file, though a little more on edge. Do you have any kids, Oikawa? No. What does that have to do with? Just answer the questions. Fine. Are you financially stable enough to support you and one other? Of course. Do you have a settled home? Next question. I'm afraid we can't skip questions. Lame, what kind of survey is this anyway? Do you own a home or not? No. Not at the moment. At least not in Japan. Do you plan on moving back to Japan? Oh, I've answered enough of your questions, now answer mine. What is this case and why does it require such personal information? Sano sighed and closed the file. He leaned back in his chair and stared at Oikawa. Do you know a Hana Nakamura? Who? Wait. Oikawa's eyes widened as the name registered. Yeah. So it's true that you spent a night together 6 years ago? I mean, yeah, but what the fuck? Sano sighed and signaled to the door. It opened and Oikawa turned to look only to be greeted with identical wide eyes. Oikawa jumped back, not having expected it to be a child. Whose kid? Yours, Mr. Oikawa. Oikawa froze and felt the color drain from his face.